Hi, the modal verb we'll be speaking about today is must. Must can be used to express obligations, duties, necessity, and to give pieces of advice. Its negative form, must not or mustn't, is used to say that something is prohibited or forbidden. Must can also be used to make deductions, just as may and might, can and could, but with a higher degree of certainty. Let's take a closer look at this modal verb. The 9 modal verbs of the English language. So must is pronounced as must with the sound ah. And let's look at some examples. I must finish my work tonight. You must not or mustn't smoke in unauthorized places. Must we do it now? You can see from the sentences that the main idea that must expresses is an obligation. But the second sentence, must not or mustn't, exhibits something different. Yeah, it tells us that the action is prohibited. So, please remember that must and mustn't express fundamentally different things. Must expresses duty, obligation, necessity, something which is a good thing to do or a correct thing to do, while mustn't or must not expresses prohibition. Let's look at the examples. We must clean the house 2 times a week. We must have a license to drive a car. We must spend more time learning new words. So these are obligations, duties, good things to do. I must clean the house because it's my duty. I must have a license to drive a car because it is a law. I must spend more time learning new words because it's a good thing to do. It is necessary in order to master a language. So, all the sentences express something which is an obligation, legal or moral. Now let's look at mustn't. We must not or mustn't smoke in public places. You must not or mustn't drive without a license. Visitors must not or mustn't feed the animals. These sentences express something which is prohibited by law. It is not allowed to smoke in public places. It is prohibited to drive without a license. Visitors are not allowed to feed the animals. Okay. Now, must does not have a past and a future form. To express necessity, obligation, and duty in the past or in the future, have to is used. Have to is a periphrastic modal. It is used in order to express the same ideas as must, can, in the places where must is not used, that is, in some tenses and in the past and in the future to express obligation. Let's see. The village must be evacuated because of the forest fire. This sentence is in the present. This is something necessary to do. Yeah? The village must be, it is necessary to evacuate the village. The village had to be evacuated because of the forest fire. This sentence is in the past. It was necessary in the past. The village will have to be evacuated because of the forest fire. Future. It will be necessary in case of the fire, right? We only can use must to express something which is necessary or obligatory in the present. In the past and in the future, we will have to use its substitute, have to. Now let's talk about all the meanings that must has. Must can express necessity, order, duty, strong advice, moral obligation, prohibition, doubt, and logical deduction or probability. Let's see the examples. When must expresses necessity, mosquito nets must be installed in every window in this region. It is necessary. It's not a law, but it is necessary because otherwise you will have a house full of mosquitoes. Order. You must fill this form by Thursday. It's an order that an officer in an institution might give you or your boss might give to his or her employees. Duty. Must expresses duty. The rooms must be aired every day. So this is somebody's duty to air the rooms. Must can express strong advice. You must read this novel. I'm sure you will like it very much. This might be said by a friend of yours who knows your tastes, and he or she knows that you like such kind of novels, yeah, and you will definitely like it. So it's a piece of advice. You must read this novel. Okay, must also expresses moral obligation. Usually we express it in the first person, yeah, you say I must or we must, because you consider it to be a moral obligation, so you feel that you are obliged to do something. I must go now, my parents will be worrying. You feel that it's a bad idea to make your parents worry about you, so you say to yourself, I must go now. Must can express prohibition. You must not park your vehicle along the fire lane. It's prohibited, it is not allowed. There is a regulation or a law that says that it is prohibited to park in this particular place. Must can express doubt. Must you do that now? Must you do that now? Do you really need to do that now? So if somebody does something strange, something that you don't consider to be necessary, you might ask, oh, must you do that now? Must you really do that now? Must can also express logical deduction or probability. She makes incredible wreaths. She must have had a lot of practice. I conclude this because I see a very good result. Yeah, I see an incredible masterpiece of a wreath, and I say that she must have had a lot of practice to be able to do that. Yeah, it's a logical deduction. Okay, now let's talk about each of these meanings in detail. So necessity, must expresses necessity, something which is necessary. Let's see. This ointment must be kept in the fridge. You must keep it in the fridge. It is necessary, otherwise it will be spoiled. You must have an adapter to be able to plug this fork in. Without an adapter, you won't be able to plug this fork in. It's a necessary thing. We must fertilize our soil heavily to grow corn on our plot of land. Corn is a heavy eater, so without fertilizing your soil, you will not be able to grow corn. It's necessary to fertilize our soil to grow corn. I must speak loud for Grandma to hear me. It is necessary for me to speak loudly because my grandmother doesn't hear very well. One must have a well-balanced diet to be healthy. It is necessary to have a well-balanced diet in order to be healthy. In the winter, people here must cover their face and hands to avoid frostbite. It is necessary to cover your face and hands here because it's very cold, and if you don't do this, you will get a frostbite. I hope that's clear. Let's move to the next one, which is order. Must expresses order. You must finish the work by noon. It is obligatory. I order you. I'm your boss, for example, and I can say that. And the children must spend more time outdoors. Somebody like a doctor might say that. Yeah, the children must spend. It's an order given by a professional, for example. You must tell us everything you know about the accident. A police officer might say that. You must tell us, yeah? You must tell us everything you know about the accident. The students must hand in their work no later than on Tuesday. It's an order by a teacher. This instruction must be sent to all the employees. Another order by somebody who is in charge of giving such orders and instructions. Okay, duty must expresses duty. We must keep the earth green for our descendants. We must, it's our duty. We feel obliged to do that. Yeah, we must keep the earth green for our descendants. People must avoid using plastic bags. It's our duty to keep the earth green and not to destroy it. People must avoid using plastic bags. You must keep her secret to herself. She trusts you. It's your duty to keep it to yourself. We must call the police if we witness violence. It's our duty. The society obliges us to call the police when we witness a crime. Local governments must keep the roads clean. Again, it's their duty to clean the roads. Must expresses moral obligation. We usually speak about this in the first person, singular or plural. I must call my parents more often. I feel morally obliged. It's a good thing to call my parents because they love me, they expect me to call, and I don't want to make them sad, I don't want to make them worry about me. I must call them. I must be more attentive to the needs of my employees. I feel morally obliged. It's a good thing to be attentive to my employees if I'm a good boss. I must go to bed earlier today. I have an important meeting tomorrow. You tell this to yourself because you're a friend of yourself. You don't want to do something which will harm you in the future. I must quit smoking. It's a terribly expensive habit. I feel obliged to quit smoking because my family spends money on my cigarettes. We must stop wearing furs and leather. It's my moral obligation to stop wearing furs and leather. I don't want the animals to suffer and to die in vain. Prohibition must, in its negative form, expresses prohibition, or you must not park near a fire hydrant. It's prohibited, you'll be fined. You must not speak to strangers, kids. I'm a parent, and I prohibit you to do that. It's dangerous. They must not provide any third parties with her personal information. This might be a line in a contract or in an agreement, and it prohibits to provide any third parties with the information. They mustn't leave the country without informing the authorities. They mustn't. It's prohibited. Maybe they are suspects in a crime, and the authorities do not allow them to leave the country without informing them. We mustn't drink strong alcohol before we are 21. For example, it's prohibited by the US law. Doubt. Must can express doubt in questions. Must we do all the work today? Or we can do a part of it tomorrow? Must I send this letter immediately? Or maybe I can do that in half an hour? Must you wear this shirt for the dinner tonight? Do you really think it's a good idea to wear this shirt for the dinner tonight? Must you behave like that? The first set of questions asks whether it is necessary to perform an action in a particular way. So you are questioning somebody's order. In the second set of example, you question somebody's decision. You have doubts about something that another person does, and you probably don't like it, or you don't think it's a good idea. The first set of question is neutral. Must we do all the work today? Yes, we must. It's obligatory. Our deadline is tomorrow. The second set of questions expresses something like a hint, that somebody does something wrong. So it's more to these questions, than just a neutral question. These are not neutral questions. Must you wear this shirt for the dinner tonight? You look stupid, or it's just inappropriate for this particular dinner. Why do you really want to wear this shirt? That's what we are really asking here. Okay, so once again, the first set, is it obligatory? Is it really required? The second set, don't you think you are wrong? That's what we actually mean. Okay, must can express logical deduction and probability. This must be the place Jane told us about. That's my logical deduction because I followed her instructions, and I presume that this is the place. Chances are that this is the place Jane told us about. It must be very difficult to learn two languages simultaneously. I presume that it's very difficult. I believe so, and I'm pretty sure of it, because everybody knows that learning one language is not easy, but learning two languages simultaneously must be exhausting. He must be a doctor. I can see a stethoscope under his coat. I can make such a conclusion because I see a medical device, and I can conclude or presume that he is a doctor. He must be a doctor. He looks like one. She must have been at home last night. The lights in her flat were on. Again, chances are that she was at home because I saw the lights in her flat. They were on. Here we express a high probability of something in the past. That's why we use must plus have been, must plus have plus past participle. I know Michael, he's an honest person. He must have taken your keys by mistake. I know Michael, I know that he is not a thief. He couldn't have stolen your keys. He must have taken your keys by mistake. Again, I'm talking about the past, that's why I use must plus have plus past participle. He must have taken. Now let's talk about must and have to. Can we use them interchangeably, or what are the cases where we'd prefer to use must, and what are those where we would prefer to use have to? So first of all, we will talk about the difference when we say something in the first person, singular or plural. When would you use I must, and when would you use I have to? Let's see. Must expresses moral or legal obligation, while have to expresses necessity. So when you want to say that it's your moral obligation or it's a law and that's why you do this or that, you would use must. When there is a necessity, but you don't necessarily feel that it's a moral obligation of yours and you don't really want to do something, you would prefer to use have to. I must spend more time with my little sister. I must spend more time. It's a good idea and I love my sister, so I must. I have to study a lot to get an A. I don't really want to spend so much time. Maybe I have other things on my mind, but I understand that I am forced to study hard. Otherwise, I will not get an A. So it is necessary. The action here does not resonate with you. You just understand that if you don't do something, you will get consequences that you don't really want to get. That's why you do something. Well, when you say I must do something, you understand that this obligation of yours is correct and it resonates with you. I must see her. It's been a while since we saw each other and I missed her so much. I want to see her. I have to see my boss before I leave. It is necessary. I don't want to, but it is necessary. Okay. Mustn't expresses prohibition. It's very different from must and from have to. Do not have to expresses lack of necessity. We cannot draw the same parallel between mustn't and do not have to as we have just done with must and have to. So these two, mustn't, do not have to, they're absolutely different. Let's see. You must not go there alone. It's dangerous. It is prohibited to go there. You must not do that. It might be an order or it might be a strong piece of advice. You must not go there alone. It's a very bad idea. I kind of prohibit you to do that. You don't have to go there alone. I'll go with you. It's an absolutely different idea. You don't have to means that it is not necessary for you to go there alone. I will accompany you. You are not forced to go there alone. I will follow you. Had to or must have done. Now let's see what is the difference between using have to in the past and using must plus have plus past participle in the past. Had to expresses obligation, necessity in the past, which is very logical. Yes, have to expresses them in the present, had to expresses them in the past and is used instead of must, because must is not used in the past. Must plus have plus past participle, yeah, perfect infinitive. Expresses logical deduction about something in the past, as we have already seen in our examples. Let's compare several sentences. We have to pay for the glasses we broke. We must pay for the glasses we broke. You must pay for the glasses you broke. We had to pay for the glasses we broke. We will have to pay for the glasses we broke. What's the difference? We have to pay for the glasses we broke. We feel that it's necessary, but we don't want to do it. We find it absurd or stupid, and we don't consider that we really need to do that, but we kind of have to, yeah. We know that the circumstances force us to do it, yeah. A social situation forces us to do it. It is something that people expect from us, yeah, that we will pay for the glasses we broke. We must pay for the glasses we broke expresses our moral obligation. So here we understand that it is our responsibility. We really feel responsible for the glasses we broke, and we really want to pay for the damage. We consider it to be the right thing to do. You must pay for the glasses you broke. It's an order that somebody gives you, somebody forces you to do it, yeah? He or she may say that you must, otherwise I will somehow hold you responsible for this. We had to pay for the glasses we broke expresses necessity or obligation in the past. We actually don't see the difference between our moral obligation or a necessity in the past. In the past, we don't differentiate between the things we consider to be good things to do and right things to do, and the things that are considered necessary by the society or the circumstances force us or whatever. This difference is lost in the past because we only have had to in the past. The same thing is about the future. We will have to pay for the glasses we broke tomorrow. Yeah, we will have to. We will be forced to, we will be obliged to, it will be necessary. He must have studied in France. He speaks French very well. To improve my pronunciation, I had to spend some time in France. Here we compare must plus the perfect infinitive with had to. And again, in the first sentence, he must have studied in France, we make a logical deduction. In the second sentence, to improve my pronunciation, I had to spend some time in France, we express necessity in the past. I had to. It was necessary to spend some time in France to improve my French. So both sentences refer to the past, but they have totally different meaning. All right, let's look at some expressions that must is a part of. If you must. If you must watch those shows, please do it when I'm not at home. You can smoke if you must, but please don't do it in the house. You would say it in a situation where somebody does something that you don't really like or you don't approve of, but you know that the person will continue doing it. So you might say, okay, if you must, yeah, if you must, if you really must, if there is no other way, okay, yeah. If you can't avoid it, yeah, or if you can't help but do something, please do it. Usually we support this with some kind of a condition, yeah. Okay, if you must do it, but, and you say on what condition. You allow this person to do something. A must can be used as a noun, and if something is a must, it is something that is necessary. This book is an absolute must if you want to understand Celtic mythology. It's the best book on that subject, and you must have it if you want to understand Celtic mythology. A pair of comfy shoes is a must for such a long trip on foot. It is really necessary for you to have a pair of comfy shoes for such a long trip. A must do is something necessary to do. It is also used as a noun. Let's see. This course is a must do if you want to better understand the syntax of English. It is necessary to pass this course to understand the English syntax. Seeing the Colosseum is a must do when you travel to Rome. A must have, a very similar thing, something that is necessary to have. In Europe, one can absolutely do without a car, whereas in the USA, a car is a must-have. In the USA, you must have a car. It's a necessity, it's necessary. A pair of good computer glasses is a must-have for those who work a lot on a computer. It is necessary to have a pair of computer glasses. Now let's see how must is used in popular music. The first one is a very popular song. It must have been love, but it's over now. It must have been good, but I lost it somehow. It must have been love, but it's over now. From the moment we touched till the time had run out. It must have been love by Roxette. Must plus the perfect infinitive express a supposition in the past. It must have been love. She is pretty sure now that it was love. The next one is also very popular. Show must go on. Inside my heart is breaking. My makeup may be flaking, but my smile still stays on. It's Show Must Go On by Queen. And the show must go on expresses the attitude of the singer towards the show. He considers it necessary for the show to go on. Yeah, it must go on. Must have left my house because I always do. My train, I'm certain, left the station just when it was due. I must have read the morning paper going into town and haven't gotten through the editorial, no doubt. I must have frowned. I must have made my desk around 9:15. This is a song by ABBA. Day before you came. Again, must is used here together with the perfect infinitive to express something which the speaker believes was certain. I must have left my house. I believe that I did leave my house. I must have read the morning paper. I believe that I read the morning paper. I was reading the morning paper going into town. The last one, each of us must do the things that matter. All of us must see what we can see. It was long ago, you must remember. You were once as young and scared as me. Child Song by Tom Rush. Must expresses a good thing to do. Each of us must do the things that matter. Okay,
this is all I have to say about the modal verb must. If you have any questions, please leave them down below and see you in the next lesson.